The email from my father landed like a bomb in my inbox, its words burning through the screen. You're making a mockery of our family name. Your actions are nothing short of betrayal. I stared at my phone, my hands trembling. My name is Morgan, and until last week, I was Morgan Fox. Now I'm Morgan Reynolds, my mother's maiden name, and my father can't handle it. The funny thing about betrayal is that it works both ways. I learned that lesson 3 days ago when I discovered the truth about my half-brother Leon's education. All those years when Dad told me he couldn't help with my college tuition, claiming financial hardship, he'd been secretly funding Leon's entire education at Stanford. Morgan, honey, Mom's voice carried from the kitchen. Your coffee's getting cold. I walked into our sun-filled kitchen, where Mom stood at the counter, her graying hair pulled back in a messy bun. She'd always made this house feel like home, even after Dad left us for his new family. He emailed me, I said, sliding onto a bar stool. He's furious about the name change. Mom's face softened. Of course he is. Cruz always did think everything was about him. You know what's ironic? I grabbed my coffee mug, warming my hands around it. He's calling me the traitor when he's the one who... My voice cracked. The doorbell rang, interrupting my brewing rant. Mom went to answer it, and I heard Maeve's familiar voice. My half-sister had become an unexpected ally in all this. Is it true? Maeve burst into the kitchen, her eyes wide. Dad's been losing it all morning, saying you changed your name? I nodded, pulling up the official documentation on my phone. Already done. The wedding invitations will say Morgan Reynolds. Oh my God! Maeve sank onto the stool next to me. I mean, I get it, especially after what you found out about Leon, but Dad's going to explode at the wedding. Let him, I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice was. Abraham supports my decision. He knows everything. Mom returned with a stack of old photo albums. I found these while cleaning yesterday. Look at this one, girls. She opened to a photo of me at my high school graduation. I remembered that day vividly, how Dad had pulled me aside afterward to explain, again, why he couldn't help with college. I'm stretched thin, Morgan, he'd said. You understand, right? I worked 3 jobs to put myself through school, I said, touching the photo. 3 jobs, while Leon was living it up at Stanford on Dad's dime. Maeve touched my arm. I had no idea, Morgan. Neither did Leon. He thought his mom was paying for everything. My phone buzzed again. Another email from Dad. Your mother put you up to this, didn't she? She's always tried to turn you against me. He's blaming you, I told Mom, showing her the message. Mom laughed, a sharp, bitter sound I'd never heard from her before. I never had to turn you against him, Cruz. You did that all on your own. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Abraham, my fiancé, arriving early for our lunch date. He took one look at my face and knew. What did he do now? Abraham asked, wrapping an arm around me. Just more emails. He's convinced Mom orchestrated this whole thing. Because heaven forbid his actions have consequences, Abraham said, making me smile despite everything. Maeve stood up, gathering her purse. I should go. Dad's probably wondering where I am. She hugged me tight. For what it's worth, I think you're brave. And Morgan Reynolds has a nice ring to it. After she left, I showed Abraham the photo albums. Look at this, I said, pointing to another graduation photo. See how proud he looked? All while knowing he was lying to my face about money. The wedding's in 3 weeks, Abraham said quietly. Are you sure you want to go through with the name change before then? We could wait. I shook my head. No. I want to walk down that aisle as Morgan Reynolds. I want everyone to know I'm my mother's daughter. Mom wiped away tears I hadn't noticed falling. Oh, honey. My phone buzzed one more time. Dad again. This discussion isn't over. We'll talk about this at the wedding. Yes, I said, deleting the email. Yes, we will. I looked at Mom, then at Abraham, feeling stronger with them beside me. The name change wasn't just about getting back at Dad anymore. It was about honoring the parent who'd actually been there for me, who'd supported my dreams, instead of just paying lip service to them. You know what? I said. closing the photo album. I think it's time to start planning that father-daughter dance. Or should I say, mother-daughter dance? Mom's smile lit up the room, and I knew, whatever storm Dad was planning to bring to my wedding, I was ready for it. Morgan Reynolds was ready for it. I hadn't planned to confront Dad at his office, but after a week of angry emails and missed calls, I needed answers. The gleaming corporate building where he worked as CFO felt colder than I remembered. Miss Fox, Miss Reynolds, his secretary corrected herself with an apologetic smile. Your father's in a meeting, but it's fine, Sandra. I'll wait. I sat in the reception area, watching executives in pressed suits hurry past. 20 minutes later, I heard his voice before I saw him, that familiar authoritative tone carrying down the hallway. Morgan? Dad stopped short when he saw me. What are you doing here? We need to talk. I stood up, keeping my voice steady. About Leon, about Stanford, about all of it. His face hardened. My office, now. Inside his corner office, with its wall of windows overlooking the city, Dad closed the door and turned to face me. This theatrical name change of yours needs to stop. Like you stopped helping me with college? The words burst out before I could stop them. While you were paying every cent of Leon's tuition? That's different. How? How is it different, Dad? Because he's your son and I'm just your daughter? Don't you dare play that card, he snapped. I gave you everything. You gave me excuses. I pulled out my phone, showing him the tuition receipts I'd found. 4 years at Stanford, full tuition, room and board. Meanwhile, I was working at a coffee shop at 5 a.m. before classes, waiting tables at night and delivering packages on weekends. Dad sat heavily in his leather chair. You don't understand the complicated. Then explain it to me. Explain why you lied every time I asked for help. Explain why you watched me struggle while secretly supporting Leon. Your mother, he started. Don't, my voice cracked. Don't you dare blame Mom for this. She remortgaged her house to help me with my last semester. She's the one who showed up to every graduation, every achievement, while you were building your new family. A knock at the door interrupted us. Sandra poked her head in. Mr. Fox, your 2 o'clock is here. Reschedule it, Dad said, not taking his eyes off me. After Sandra left, he leaned forward. Morgan, listen. Leon's situation was different. There were obligations. Obligations? I laughed bitterly. What about your obligations to me? I'm still your father. Are you? Because fathers don't do this, Dad. They don't play favorites with their children's futures. He stood up, pacing behind his desk. This is exactly why I didn't tell you. You're too emotional, too much like your mother. Thank God for that, I cut him off. At least I know who I am. At least I'm honest about it. My phone buzzed. A text from Abraham. Everything okay? Remember, dinner with the florist at 6. Dad saw me checking my phone. This wedding, you're really going through with using your mother's name? Yes. And you know what? The more you fight it, the more certain I am that it's the right decision. You'll regret this, Morgan. This childish attempt at revenge. Revenge! I stood up, gathering my purse. This isn't about revenge, Dad. It's about honor. Mom's honor. Mine. The honor you forgot about somewhere between Stanford's tuition bills. As I reached for the door handle, a letter slid under the door. I picked it up. It was addressed to me, but the return address was unfamiliar. What's that? Dad asked, suddenly alert. Nothing that concerns you anymore. I tucked the letter into my purse, watching his face change. He knew something about it. I could tell by the way his jaw tightened. Morgan, wait. No, I'm done waiting. Done making excuses for you. Done pretending that what you did was okay. I opened the door. I'll see you at the wedding. That is, if you can bear to walk a Reynolds down the aisle. In the elevator, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely press the lobby button. Mom answered on the first ring. How did it go? About as well as expected, I said, fighting tears. But Mom, there's something else. A letter was slipped under his door for me. He reacted weird about it. Come home, she said firmly. We'll open it together. As I walked to my car, I touched the letter in my purse. Whatever it contained, Dad's reaction told me it was important. Maybe even important enough to explain why he'd chosen Leon over me all those years ago. But first, I needed my mother's strength. Because that's what Reynolds women did. We faced things head on, together. And whatever was in that letter, I knew I'd need all the strength I could get. The coffee shop was quiet for a Saturday morning. I spotted Leon immediately. Tall like Dad, but with a gentleness in his features that Dad never had. He stood when he saw me, awkward and uncertain. "Thanks for meeting me," he said as I sat down. The letter that had sparked this meeting lay between us on the table. "I almost didn't," I admitted. "But that letter, it changes things." "I had no idea," Leon said, pushing his coffee cup around. "About Stanford, about Dad paying. My mom always said it was her family's money." I pulled out the letter, now worn from repeated reading. "Did you know about this? About our grandmother's inheritance?" "No." He shook his head. "But it makes sense now. Why Dad was so insistent I go to Stanford. Why he paid for everything. He was trying to fulfill the conditions. The letter had revealed a twist neither of us expected. Our paternal grandmother had left a substantial inheritance, but with specific conditions. It would only go to the first grandchild who graduated from her alma mater, Stanford University." "He manipulated everything," I said, my voice shaking. "He made sure you got there, while actively preventing me from having the same chance." A barista brought my Americano, giving us a moment to collect ourselves. "Morgan." Leon leaned forward. "I would have never accepted his help if I'd known. You have to believe that." "I do." And surprisingly, I meant it. But that's not even the worst part. Look at the last paragraph again. Leon picked up the letter, reading aloud. "The inheritance shall pass to the first qualifying grandchild bearing the family name Reynolds, in honor of my beloved sister Margaret Reynolds, who sacrificed everything for my education." "Reynolds," I repeated. "My mother's maiden name. All this time Dad knew. He knew I had more right to that inheritance than anyone, and he deliberately kept me from it. But why would he? Because he couldn't stand the idea of Mom's family name being attached to his mother's money." The realization had hit me like a truck when I first read it. "So he made sure you got to Stanford instead." Leon pushed his coffee aside, looking sick. "I'll give it back. All of it. The money, the trust fund. It's not about the money anymore." I pulled out my phone, showing him the email Dad had sent that morning. "Look what he wrote when I told him I knew about the inheritance." Leon read it aloud. "You were never supposed to find out. Your mother's family doesn't deserve that legacy. I did what I had to do." "He's still trying to justify it," I said. "Still trying to control the narrative." "The wedding," Leon said suddenly. "That's why he's so upset about you changing your name. Because now I qualify for the inheritance anyway." I couldn't help but laugh at the irony. By trying to spite him with Mom's name, I accidentally fulfilled grandmother's conditions. The bell above the coffee shop door chimed, and we both looked up to see Maeve walking in. She'd been texting me nonstop since I told her about the letter. "Sorry I'm late," she said, pulling up a chair. "Dad's been impossible all morning. He knows you two are meeting." "How?" I asked. "He saw Leon's calendar when he stopped by the house. He's not taking it well." Leon rubbed his face. "This is such a mess. Morgan, what can I do?" "Come to my wedding," I said. "Both of you, stand with me, not him. Show him that his games didn't work. They didn't turn us against each other." "Of course we'll be there," Maeve said immediately. "Won't we, Leon?" Leon nodded. "Yes. And I'll do you one better. I'll announce at the reception that I'm transferring the inheritance to you. It's rightfully yours anyway." "You don't have to." "I want to." He reached across the table, taking my hand. "Let me fix what Dad broke." My phone buzzed. Another email from Dad. "Whatever they're telling you, don't believe them. Come home. We can sort this out as Foxes, not Reynolds." I showed the email to Leon and Maeve. "He still doesn't get it, does he?" "No," Maeve said softly. He really doesn't. The wedding's in 2 weeks, I said, standing up. Dad's going to try something. I can feel it. Then we'll be ready, Leon said, standing with me. All of us, together. As I hugged them goodbye, I felt something shift inside me. The anger was still there, but it was different now. Cleaner, more purposeful. Dad had tried to pit us against each other, but he'd only succeeded in bringing us closer together. Walking to my car, I typed out a reply to Dad's email. You're right about one thing. We will sort this out, at the wedding. All of us, Reynolds and Foxes alike. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. The time for hiding truths was over. In 2 weeks, everything would come to light, whether Dad was ready or not. The flowers look perfect, I said, adjusting a centerpiece on the sample table. The wedding venue's grand ballroom was coming together, each detail carefully chosen to honor both my past and future. Morgan! Maeve rushed in, still wearing her work clothes. You need to hear this. She pulled me away from the florist and into a quiet corner. I was at Dad's house picking up some old photos, and I overheard him on the phone. What did he say? He was talking to his lawyer. Something about making a statement at the ceremony and protecting the family legacy. Morgan, he's planning something big. My stomach dropped. Did you hear anything specific? No, but... Maeve was interrupted by Abraham's arrival. Hey, beautiful, he said, kissing my cheek before noticing our serious expressions. What's wrong? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Mom's ringtone. Hey, Mom, can I call you back? I'm at the venue with... Morgan, listen to me. Mom's voice was urgent. Your father just left my house. He came here demanding to see your grandmother's letter. What? Why would he? He said he's filing an injunction to stop the inheritance transfer. He's claiming Leon was coerced. Abraham wrapped an arm around me as I swayed slightly. That's ridiculous, I said. Leon made that decision himself. There's more, Mom continued. He threatened to read a prepared statement at the wedding, exposing what he calls my manipulation of the situation. Maeve, who could hear both sides of the conversation, grabbed my free hand. He can't do this. It's your wedding day. Watch me, a deep voice said from the ballroom entrance. Dad stood there, looking immaculate in his business suit, a manila envelope in his hand. I'll call you back, Mom. I ended the call, squaring my shoulders. What are you doing here? Delivering this. He held up the envelope. A copy of my speech for your wedding. I thought you might want to reconsider your choices before I'm forced to read it. Abraham stepped forward. You're not forcing anything at our wedding. Stay out of this, Dad snapped. This is family business. I am family, Abraham said firmly. Or I will be in 10 days, and I won't let you ruin this for Morgan. The florist awkwardly excused herself, leaving us alone in the ballroom. Dad tossed the envelope onto a nearby table. Read it, he said. Read how your mother poisoned you against me, how she manipulated this entire situation for money. Mom didn't do anything, I exploded. You did this, all of it. You lied about college, hid the inheritance conditions, and now you're trying to blame everyone but yourself. I did what was best for this family. No, Maeve interrupted, surprising everyone. You did what was best for your ego, Dad, and I won't stand with you if you do this. Dad's face reddened. Maeve, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. She moved to stand beside me. And if you go through with this, you'll lose all of us, not just Morgan. Is that a threat? It's a promise. Leon's voice came from the doorway. He walked in, still in his hospital scrubs from work. I got your message, Morgan. I came as soon as I could. Dad looked between his 3 children, his composure cracking slightly. Leon, son, you can't seriously support this betrayal. The only betrayal here is what you did to Morgan, Leon said quietly, and I won't help you hurt her again. I picked up the envelope, holding it out to Dad. Take your speech and go. You have 10 days to decide what's more important, your pride or your children. Don't do this, Morgan. Don't throw away everything for some misguided revenge. This isn't revenge, I said. This is justice. For me, for Mom, for grandmother's real wishes. Now please leave. Dad straightened his tie, his mask of control slipping back into place. You'll regret this, all of you. After he left, I collapsed into a chair, shaking. Abraham knelt beside me, while Maeve and Leon pulled up chairs. What do we do now? Maeve asked. We stick to the plan, I said, finding strength in their united support. Mom walks me down the aisle. Leon makes his announcement at the reception. And if Dad tries anything, we'll handle it, Leon promised. Together? Abraham squeezed my hand. Should we hire security? No, I decided. That would just prove his point about revenge. We'll face whatever comes with dignity, like Reynolds women always have. The florist cautiously returned, and we all stood up. There was still work to do, details to finalize. But looking at my siblings and fiancé, I felt stronger than ever. 10 days, I said. In 10 days, everything changes. For the better, Maeve added, hugging me tight. And despite everything, I believed her. Because sometimes the family you choose, or who choose you, is stronger than the family you're born into. The rehearsal dinner buzzed with nervous energy. I stood at the entrance of the restaurant's private room, greeting guests while scanning for Dad. He hadn't responded to any messages about whether he'd attend. You look beautiful, sweetheart, Mom said, appearing beside me in a sleek navy dress. Stop worrying about him. I'm not. The words died in my throat as Dad walked in, his new wife, Patricia, trailing behind him. Morgan, he said stiffly. Patricia and I wouldn't miss this important family gathering. The emphasis on family made my skin crawl. Before I could respond, Abraham's elderly Aunt Martha tottered up to us. Oh, Morgan, dear, congratulations on the inheritance. Your grandmother would be so proud to see her legacy continuing through the Reynolds name. Dad's face turned purple. Patricia tugged at his sleeve, whispering something, but he shrugged her off. Actually, he said loudly, there seems to be some confusion about that inheritance. The room quieted. I felt Mom's hand on my back, steadying me. Dad? Leon appeared suddenly. This isn't the time. When is the time, son? When you give away your rightful inheritance because of their manipulation? Abraham stepped forward. Sir, I respect that you're Morgan's father, but if you can't be civil. Civil? Dad laughed harshly. Like how civilly they've orchestrated this whole charade. The only charade, Mom's voice cut through the tension, was you pretending to be a fair father to all your children. Maeve appeared with glasses of champagne, deliberately positioning herself between Dad and me. Who's ready for a toast? Excellent idea, Dad said, taking a glass. I'd like to say a few words about family loyalty. Actually, Leon interrupted, clinking his glass. As the best man, I believe that's my job. The guests turned toward Leon, who stood tall and confident. When Morgan asked me to be her best man, I was surprised. We weren't always close. Circumstances and choices made by others kept us apart. But standing here now, I'm honored to call her my sister, to call her a Reynolds. Dad set his glass down with a sharp crack. Leon, think carefully about what you're doing. I have, Dad, for weeks. Leon turned to address the room, which is why I'm announcing now, officially, that I'm transferring grandmother's inheritance to its rightful recipient, Morgan Reynolds. Gasps and murmurs filled the room. Patricia pulled at Dad's arm again, but he shook her off. This is ridiculous, he sputtered. You can't. Actually, he can, a new voice said. Everyone turned to see an older man in an expensive suit standing in the doorway. As the executor of your mother's estate, I can confirm that Leon's decision is both legal and binding. James, Dad said, recognizing his mother's lawyer, what are you doing here? Ensuring your mother's wishes are properly honored, James replied, walking over to me. Miss Reynolds, congratulations. Your grandmother would have been proud to see her name carried forward by someone who truly understands family loyalty. Dad's face contorted. This isn't over. I won't let you. Let me? I stepped forward, my voice steady. You lost the right to let me do anything when you chose deception over honesty, favoritism over fairness. Morgan. No, Dad. You've said enough. Tomorrow is my wedding day. You can either attend as a supportive father or not attend at all. Those are your only options now. The room was silent. Dad looked around, perhaps expecting support, but found none. Even Patricia had stepped away from him. Well, he said finally, his voice cold, I suppose we'll all see tomorrow what kind of wedding this turns out to be. He turned and stormed out, Patricia hurrying after him. As conversations slowly resumed, Abraham wrapped his arms around me. You okay? Actually, yes. I leaned into him, watching as Leon, Maeve, and Mom gathered around us protectively. I really am. James handed me a business card. Call my office next week. We'll sort out all the paperwork then. For now, enjoy your celebration. As he left, Maeve raised her glass again. To Morgan and Abraham. To Morgan and Abraham, the room echoed. Later, as guests began to leave, Mom pulled me aside. I found something in my old papers today. A photo of your grandmother Reynolds, your namesake. She changed her name too, you know, back when women rarely did such things. She showed me the photo on her phone, a strong-faced woman with kind eyes. She would have loved you, Morgan, and she would have been so proud of how you've handled all of this. I hugged her tight, feeling tears threaten. Thanks, Mom, for everything. Get some sleep, she said. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. Looking around the room at my chosen family, Abraham talking with Leon, Maeve helping clean up, Mom's steady presence beside me, I knew she was right. Tomorrow would be big, whether Dad tried something or not. Because tomorrow wasn't just about getting married. It was about claiming my identity, my inheritance, and my future, all on my own terms. The morning of my wedding dawned bright and clear. I sat at my childhood bedroom vanity while the makeup artist worked, watching Mom flip through a worn leather journal. Mom? I caught her expression in the mirror. What's wrong? She closed the journal quickly. Nothing, sweetheart. Just some old memories. Is that grandmother's journal? Maeve asked, walking in with coffee cups. The one you found in the attic? Mom hesitated, then opened the journal again. There's something you both need to see. She turned to a marked page. I found this entry last night. It's about your father. I waved the makeup artist away for a moment and took the journal. The handwriting was elegant but firm. Cruz visited today, asking about the inheritance conditions. He seemed particularly concerned about Monica's family name being included. I fear he may try to manipulate the situation to his advantage. I should have been more explicit in my wishes. When was this written? I asked, my hands shaking. 3 months before she died, Mom said quietly. Before you were even born. He knew, Maeve whispered. He knew all along, from the very beginning. A knock at the door interrupted us. Leon poked his head in. Everything okay? Abraham's asking. Look at this. I thrust the journal at him. Leon read quickly, his face darkening. That son of a... He planned this, all of it, from the moment you were born. Has anyone heard from him this morning? Maeve asked. Patricia called, Leon said. They're coming. She said he's been in his study all night, working on something. The speech, I said, turning back to the mirror. He's really going to do it. Let him try, Mom said firmly. We have the truth now. His words can't hurt us anymore. The makeup artist resumed her work while we fell into tense silence. Another knock came. This time it was Abraham. No peeking, Maeve called out. I'm not looking. His voice came through the door. Morgan, can we talk for a minute? Through the door? Everyone cleared the room, leaving me alone. I moved to the door, pressing my hand against it. I'm here. You okay? With everything that's happening? I'm scared, I admitted. Not about marrying you, never about that. But Dad. I talked to security. They'll remove him if he causes a scene. That might make it worse. Then we'll handle it. Together. I could hear his smile. Like we'll handle everything else. I love you, I said softly. I love you too. See you at the altar, Morgan Reynolds. As his footsteps faded, Mom and Maeve returned with my dress. It was simple and elegant, with delicate lace that reminded me of old family photos. Found something else, Mom said, holding up a small blue brooch. Your grandmother wore this at her wedding. It's always been passed down through Reynolds women. As she pinned it to my dress, another knock came. This time it was Patricia. Morgan? She looked uncomfortable. Can we talk? Mom stiffened, but I nodded. Patricia closed the door behind her. Your father, he's not in a good place. The speech he's written, it's cruel, vindictive. I tried to talk him out of it, but he won't listen, I finished. No. She twisted her hands. I'm sorry, for everything. For not seeing it sooner, for not stopping him. It's not your fault. Maybe not. But I want you to know, I won't stand with him when he does this. I can't. Tears threatened to ruin my makeup. Thank you. Patricia hugged me quickly, then left. Mom immediately began fixing my makeup. Well, Maeve said, that was unexpected. Everything about this is unexpected. I laughed shakily. Did you ever think we'd be here? Like this? Yes, Mom said simply. From the moment you decided to take back your name, our name, I knew we'd end up here, standing together, stronger than ever. Leon returned with a message from the wedding planner. It was time. Mom helped me with my veil while Maeve adjusted my train. Ready? Leon asked, offering his arm to escort me downstairs. I took one last look in the mirror. The woman staring back wasn't just a bride. She was a Reynolds, through and through. Whatever Dad had planned, whatever speech he intended to give, he couldn't take that away from me. Ready, I said. As we left the room, I caught a glimpse of Dad arriving downstairs, clutching a folder I assumed contained his speech. Our eyes met briefly, and for a moment, I saw something flicker in his expression. Regret, perhaps? Or recognition of what he was about to lose. But it was too late for regret now. The music was starting, and my future was waiting at the end of that aisle. The wedding march began, but not the traditional one. Instead, the string quartet played my grandmother Reynolds' favorite song, a detail I'd discovered in her journal. Mom took my arm, and we stood at the back of the church. Last chance to elope, she whispered, making me laugh. As we started down the aisle, I saw Dad shift in his front row seat, that folder clutched in his hands. But my eyes were drawn to Abraham, standing at the altar with the biggest smile I'd ever seen. Leon stood beside him as best man, while Maeve waited on my side. Halfway down the aisle, Dad stood up. I object to this farce, he announced loudly. The music screeched to a halt. Mom's grip on my arm tightened. Cruz, she warned. Don't. The ceremony hasn't even started, the officiant said. There's nothing to object to yet. I object to all of it, Dad continued, opening his folder. To this manipulation, this theft of inheritance, this mockery of our family name. Abraham started down the steps, but I shook my head slightly. This was my battle. Morgan, Dad turned to face me. I've prepared a statement explaining exactly how your mother orchestrated this entire situation. No, I said clearly, my voice carrying through the church. You don't get to rewrite history today. I have proof. We have proof too, I cut him off. Grandmother's journal, we found it. The folder trembled in his hands. What? She wrote about you, Dad. About how you came to her, worried about Mom's family name being in the inheritance conditions. How you planned to manipulate everything from the start. Murmurs rippled through the guests. Patricia stood up from beside Dad's empty seat and walked to the back of the church. You don't understand, Dad's voice cracked. I was protecting our legacy. By lying to your daughter? Leon stepped forward. By making her work 3 jobs while I got a free ride? By hiding her birthright? Mom added. The Reynolds name she should have been proud of from the beginning? Dad looked around the church, perhaps finally realizing how alone he stood. I did what I thought was right. No, I said, letting go of Mom's arm and walking toward him. You did what was easy, what fed your ego, and now you're trying to ruin my wedding day because you can't stand that your plan failed. Morgan, I'm not finished. I took the folder from his hands. You have two choices right now, Dad. Sit down and be part of this wedding, or leave. But you will not read this speech. You will not hurt this family anymore. The church was silent. Dad looked at the folder in my hands, then at my face. For the first time, I saw him really see me. Not as his defiant daughter, but as a Reynolds woman standing her ground. The choice is yours, I said quietly, but choose carefully, because this is the last chance you get. Seconds ticked by. Finally, Dad's shoulders slumped. Without a word, he walked down the aisle and out of the church. Patricia followed him. I handed the folder to Mom, who promptly dropped it in a decorative trash bin by the door. A few chuckles broke the tension. Well, the officiant said, shall we begin? Actually, I turned to address our guests. I'd like to say something first. I looked at the faces before me. Abraham's supportive smile, Leon and Maeve's proud grins, Mom's tears of joy. Today isn't just about marriage. It's about family. The one we're born into and the one we choose. It's about standing up for what's right, even when it's hard. My grandmother Reynolds understood that. She wrote in her journal about the power of choosing your own path, your own name, your own destiny. I touched the blue brooch on my dress. This belongs to the Reynolds women, strong women who weren't afraid to stand up for themselves. Today, I stand here as Morgan Reynolds, carrying their legacy forward. And I'm marrying a man who understands and supports that legacy. Abraham's eyes shone with tears. Mom squeezed my hand. Now, I smiled at the officiant, we can begin. The ceremony that followed was everything I'd dreamed of. When Abraham kissed me, the church erupted in cheers. As we turned to face our guests as husband and wife, I saw Leon slip out his phone to check something. He grinned and showed me the screen, a bank notification. The inheritance transfer was complete. Perfect timing, he whispered. Walking back down the aisle, I felt lighter than air. Dad's empty seat didn't matter. His absence didn't diminish this moment. If anything, it proved I'd made the right choice. Because sometimes the strongest family ties aren't the ones we're born with, but the ones we fight for. And I'd fought for mine, every step of the way. The sunset painted the beach in golden hues as Abraham and I walked along the shore of our honeymoon resort. A message from Maeve lit up my phone. You need to see this. She'd attached a photo of a newspaper article. The headline made me stop walking. Local CFO steps down amid family controversy. Dad resigned? I showed Abraham the phone. Keep reading, he said, peering over my shoulder. The article detailed how Dad had left his position, citing personal reasons. But the part that caught my breath was his quoted statement. Recent events have made me reevaluate my priorities and the true meaning of legacy. My phone rang. Mom's face appeared on the screen. Did you see it? She asked when I answered. I'm looking at it now. What happened? Patricia called me this morning. Apparently, after the wedding, your father locked himself in his study for days. When he finally emerged, he'd written 2 letters. One to the board announcing his resignation, and one to us. To us. It just arrived. I haven't opened it yet. I wanted to wait for you. Abraham squeezed my hand. We can fly back early if you want. I shook my head. No, Mom, open it. Read it to me. I heard paper rustling, then Mom's intake of breath. It's different from what I expected. He writes, to my family, all of you. I've spent decades building what I thought was a legacy, only to realize I was destroying the most important one I had, my children's trust. Morgan's wedding showed me what true strength looks like. It's not in controlling others or manipulating outcomes. It's in standing firm for what you believe in, as she did, as her grandmother Reynolds did. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope you'll accept my resignation from the company as the first step toward making amends. The Reynolds inheritance belongs where it is, with Morgan. I see that now. My legs felt weak. Abraham guided me to sit on the sand. There's more, Mom continued. To Monica, you raised our daughter to be stronger than I ever was. To Leon and Maeve, thank you for showing me what sibling loyalty truly means. And to Morgan, you are your grandmother's granddaughter in every way that matters. I'm sorry it took me so long to see that. The waves crashed softly against the shore as I absorbed his words. Why, he signed it with both his names, Mom said quietly. Cruz Fox Reynolds. He added his mother's name back. My phone buzzed with another message from Leon. Dad just called me. He's starting therapy. Says he wants to earn his way back into our lives if we'll let him. What do you think? Abraham asked gently. I think. I watched the sun sink lower over the ocean. I think forgiveness isn't the same as forgetting. And healing isn't the same as erasing the past. Mom was still on the line. Whatever you decide, we're all with you. Reynolds women make their own choices, remember? I smiled, touching the blue brooch I'd pinned to my beach cover-up. I know, Mom. Tell everyone I'll call them tomorrow. Right now, I want to watch the sunset with my husband. After saying goodbye, I leaned into Abraham's embrace. Did I ever tell you what else was in Grandmother's journal? What? She wrote about love, about how the strongest marriages are built on trust and understanding, about how her husband supported her decision to keep her name, even back then when it was scandalous. Smart woman, Abraham grinned. Must run in the family. She also wrote about forgiveness. Not the easy kind that comes with a simple sorry, but the hard kind. The kind that takes work and time and proof. And is that what you want? To give him that chance? I picked up a seashell, turning it over in my hands. I want to be strong enough to try. Not for him, but for me. For us. For the family we might have someday. Abraham kissed my temple. That sounds pretty wise to me, Mrs. Reynolds. You know what the best part is? I stood up, pulling him with me. We get to write our own story now. No manipulation, no hidden agendas. Just us, choosing our path together. Speaking of choosing, he grinned, I choose to take my gorgeous wife to dinner. The restaurant's holding our sunset reservation. As we walked back toward the resort, I felt at peace. Not because everything was perfect. It wasn't. Not because all wounds were healed. They weren't. But because I finally understood what Grandmother Reynolds had written about in her journal. True legacy isn't in names or inheritances. It's in the strength to forge your own path, the wisdom to learn from the past, and the courage to face the future on your own terms. And standing there, watching the last rays of sun paint the sky in brilliant colors, I knew I was ready for whatever that future might bring.